everybody. Welcome to my dock. This is my dock for the time being. I just, I wanted to take you guys out on the canoe, but the lake is a little choppy right now. It's a little windy. And there's a lot of water skiers, and I had a really hilarious escapade on the canoe. I started with the paddleboard. There's the paddleboard, and that was not happening. No way was the paddleboard gonna happen. I didn't even try to get on it. And then I got out the canoe, and I put it in the water, and I canoed for a moment. And then I was like, fuck, man, this is intense. I think I need a man with me. I think I need my strong man with me to make the canoe scenario work. So I came to the dock instead. So I'm having a little hibiscus lavender gin and tonic because it is a glorious day here in Seattle. Oh my gosh, it has been so beautiful here, so warm, so delicious. I'm just enjoying so much being here. And this is Lake Washington. Yeah, just really enjoying this. So anyway, I wanted to talk about being different. And I've been here for a week, and have just been creating a ton while I've been here. And let me know if you can hear me. I know it's kind of windy. Hopefully you can hear me. I've been creating a ton while I've been here, and just like in a really different way. And one of the things that I love to do is really weave my work, which I don't ever really feel like I'm actually working, but like weave my creation time, into my life, and not separate them, not make them two different things. So you can see Mount Rainier. That is Mount Rainier. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I didn't think it would pick up. Maybe, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll take a picture of it later. It's such an incredible view of Mount Rainier from here. It's one of the 14,000 foot peaks in the United States. There's, I don't remember, 56 of them or something like that. But anyway, but I love to do a million things at once. And I love to, work in my bathing suit or on the patio, or I was going to do some work in the canoe. I was going to get on my phone and just float around the lake and do some stuff until I realized how incredibly choppy the lake is. And it wasn't really going to be like a peaceful, sweet canoe ride. It was going to be like a whoa. So I bailed on that. But I've always been really weird in that, I don't like to do things the way that other people do, or that the world does. I don't like to do things like that. And it's always been one of those things where I was just like, I'm wrong. I must be wrong. I'm kind of making myself wrong, so I must be wrong. And because that's kind of the only option in this reality, is like when you're different from the rest of the world, to actually make yourself wrong. Very few people are different from the rest of the world and actually get curious about the brilliance that is. And it wasn't until I found Access Consciousness that I started to really look at that. And I was actually, Gary Douglas asked me a question: are you willing to acknowledge the difference that you be? And that really, I was like, I'm not different. I'm normal. I'm totally normal. I don't know what you're saying, and that, it got me looking at difference, and it got me looking at how I am different, and how I've tried to just hide that by judging myself and making myself wrong, and thinking that I'm not different. And it's like one of the most insidious things that we can do with ourselves, because it's so it's just so, it's such an invalidation. Actually, it's actually, you can hear the lake. I was going to be canoeing in this. Not a good idea. There's some waves tonight. But you know, it's like when we don't fit in with the rest of the world, we're like looking out on the world and we see everybody being the same. And then we're like, oh, well, I don't know how to do things that way, or I don't do things that way, or I'm not that way. And so there must be something wrong with me. And, it's oh, I know what I was going to say. It's actually an abuse to ourselves to judge ourselves. It's abusive to judge ourselves. Anytime that you invalidate your being or anybody else's being, that's actually abuse. And nobody talks about that. You know, abuse is seen as something, you know, a lot more than that. But I will say, when you invalidate your own being by judging you, when you invalidate the being of somebody else by judging them, who they are, who you are being abusive. And it is one of the most destructive, diminishing energies that there is. And it actually is like, it will kill creation. It will kill everything that you could do, that you could create. It will kill all of it. Because you're taking these things that are different about you, these places where you find yourself to be like distinct from other people or different from other people, or like the way you function, you know, being so different from other people, you take those treasures actually that you find that are different about you, but you turn them immediately into the wrongness of you because you don't fit in, and this world is so much about fitting in. And then all of a sudden, everything that is part of that, all of those aspects of who you be, of your being, they've now been basically abused, and you tuck them under the rug and you hide them, and you don't get to receive from those parts of you. And the thing is that those are the parts of you that are the most brilliant. So you take the shining, beautiful, like gem of you, your being, and your capacities and your capabilities and your strengths and your brilliance, you take that and you basically like shove it all under the rug and make it wrong and make it bad. And that's that. You never have access to it from that place. And I was going to say you never have access to it again, but that's not true, because you can change it. You can change it by starting to actually look and see, okay, so if this wasn't actually my wrongness, what would the strongness be? You know, if this is actually, whatever this is that I'm looking at was actually a capacity, what would that be? You know, and you have to start to get curious about it. And you know, so when I look at like how I function and how I like move through my days, it could seem very disjointed to somebody else. Like I'm not, I'm really organized in a way, but I'm also like really not. Like I sort of float on the wind in a lot of ways, where it's like, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this. Like earlier I was like sitting there typing, and then I was like, I'm so tired, I'm going to take a nap right now. And I just literally like flopped over on the nap and set my timer for half an hour, because if I sleep too long, I get really groggy, and just took a nap, right? I was like, nap time, you know, and then I wake up and I'm like, okay, now what, you know? Oh, well, now I'm going to go outside because it's beautiful and I'm leaving this place tomorrow. So I'm going to go outside. And now I'm going to go get on the paddleboard. Oh, but the paddleboard's not going to work. So now I'm going to get in the canoe. Oh, the canoe's not going to work. Okay, so now I'll sit on the dock and do a Facebook Live, you know. And it's very much like having 10-second increments of choice, which is one of the 10 keys in Access Consciousness. One of the 10 keys to freedom is having 10-second increments of choice, where you choose and then you just see what that creates, and you choose and you see what that creates. And that's very sort of counter to human reality and how things are supposed to be done. Like you're really supposed to plan out your life. You're supposed to plan out everything. You know, you're supposed to plan your day. You're supposed to know what you're doing next week, next month, next year, 10 years. And, you know, most of us are like, I have no fucking idea. And that's appropriate, because even if you think you have an idea, you don't have an idea. And you set yourself up for massive disappointment and letdown when you try to function like that. And you also, it is also part of that sort of like perpetrating the abuse against yourself, because your very being is like so different and like so kaleidoscopic and multidimensional and, you know, multicolorful, and, you know, like your being, as an infinite being, it loves to be different. And how, I mean, things change every moment, you know, things are different every moment. And your very being that's how your being operates, you know. And so when we try to fit into how things are done in this reality, it just doesn't work. And the only option from there, the only sort of choice that we get to have from there, is just a massive diminishment of ourselves and a diminishment of what we can create. And this is one of the things that I love about this conversation, is that it's actually, it like when you start to look at, okay, so what if I really was not in judgment of me? What if I actually really got out of judgment of me? What would that be like? And all of a sudden, like when you're not judging you, then you get to receive you. You can't judge that which, or you can't receive from something that you judge, including yourself. So you start to have this sense of like receiving you. And then, and this might sound sort of conceptual, but what happens is like you judge yourself less. You basically give yourself permission to do different things, to try different things, to like play with new energies, and, you know, like have different realities and all of that. And you've got all these new choices all of a sudden, and your choice is actually what creates. So you've got all these new choices, and then your choice is like me being like, oh, paddleboard. Oh, no. Okay, next time I'm going to know when the lake looks like this, I'm not going paddleboarding. You know, I didn't really think about it, you know. I know how the ocean is with paddleboarding, but I'm like, it's a lake. You can always paddleboard on a lake. Well, you know, when it's as choppy as it is right now, you know, you can, but I didn't feel like doing that, you know, so. But that's the thing, is like, oh, okay, cool. And I didn't go into like, I should have known, I would have saved myself time and been efficient. You know, it's like, cool. Now we've got the paddleboard out, we've got the canoe out. I'm laughing at myself. I'm laughing at the whole thing. And, you know, you just move, you keep going, and you get more awareness, and you have no idea why things occur, why you choose certain things. You just do. And what if you could have ease with just like being actually at ease in your own skin? What if you could be at ease in your own skin, which is something that a lot of people do not have. A lot of people do not have ease in their own skin, you know, and of course it goes beyond your skin, because your being is way bigger than your body. But that's that's kind of a cool phrase. I like that. I'm gonna have a little gin and tonic hibiscus lavender sip. It's really good. But I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are actually shooting for, and they may not know that, you know, but I think it's what a lot of us are shooting for, what a lot of us are asking for, and looking for the thing. Whereas like, once I do this, I'll be at ease in my own skin. Once I have this, I'll be at ease in my own skin. Once I have the money, the business, the person, the relationship, the body, you know, I mean, that's a huge one. Once I have the body, I'll be at ease in my own skin, you know? And that is a failing game, and it's not going to get you anywhere, because it's all about the judgments of you. And so what would it be like to actually truly begin to choose to be at ease in your own skin without needing any particular reason for that to show up, like just because you can. And part of it is getting, like, finding these places where you judge you, and stop, like, just stop that, you know, and not only stop, but like get curious, like flip it 180 degrees, get curious about it, and be like, what's right about me I'm not getting? I love that question. What's right about me I'm not getting? Marcy says, a saying that I have had thrown at me is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It was a long time ago, and I chose to stick myself with it. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, welcome to human reality. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I mean, hello. That's insane, you know? Now, there's a completely different conversation about being aware of the future, having an awareness of the future, which is very much a capacity of X-Men, like the humanoids and X-Men, people that are different, the seekers of the world, having an awareness of the future so that you can have a sense of what's coming and what's going to work and what's not going to work. But it's not from the need to plan or to get results. It's actually from being the brilliance that you are and then going, cool, I have this awareness and I can use that now as part of what I'm creating, as part of what I'm choosing, rather than, you know, if I fail to plan, I plan to fail, you know. There's so much judgment in that. There's so much judgment in that. And, you know, Marcy, I know you know the tools of access. Like you could destroy and uncreate that, you know, and start to look at what do you know about that? You know, what's different? And this is where like the whole thing about being aware of the future, it's like there's sometimes with these things, there's this truth with the lie attached, you know, and it's like, so what's the truth with the lie attached there? Well, the truth with the lie attached is, having an awareness of the future is a great idea, you know, it's a great thing to be aware of the future. And so many of us actually are so aware of the future and we don't want to be aware of the future. So we deny that, we disavow it, we basically do that thing where we diminish it and we judge it and therefore invalidate it and invalidate ourselves. But what if you could go, yeah, I am aware of the future. I mean, there's so many things with awareness of the future. Seaplane! I love the seaplanes. I don't know if you can see it. See, shiny object syndrome. I have shiny object syndrome dynamically. But if you can be aware of the future, if you acknowledge that you're aware of the future, then you can use, like, you are so at a creative and generative advantage in your life and with what you're creating. I mean, it's amazing. And that's where you start to, like, you have like these wonky moments or these moments where you're like, you know, feeling weird or strange, or there's all this energy, or you have this sense of doom and gloom or whatever, you know, there may be something going on in your world and you can't quite put a finger on it. A lot of times that's actually an awareness of the future where you're like, oh, I'm aware of something that's not happened yet. And that's a weird thing, you know, it's a weird thing in this reality. For X-Men and humanoids, it's actually quite sort of normal. I mean, it's weird to use that word with X-Men because X-Men are not normal, but people that are different, people that are seekers, people that have these different capacities and the ability to function in a different way, it's not normal. I mean, it is normal, but you're not normal. That's what I meant to say. You're not normal. And that's the coolest thing about you. The fact that you're not normal is the coolest fucking thing about you. The coolest thing about you. And we think it's the worst thing. So imagine like Albert Einstein, you know, who was a total X-Men. Imagine if he was in so much judgment of himself for his capacities that he judged them out of existence. You know, what would the world be like? Or like people that have created, or like Steve Jobs, you know, he was a brilliant X-Men, a more, you know, recent person. You know, if he had judged his difference dynamically, he would have judged his brilliance and his capacities and what he knew was possible. He would have judged that out of existence. And it'd be a different world, you know? Like we would all have, like he's been a massive contribution to my life, you know? That would be, you know, so all of everything that he used, and if you haven't seen the movie Jobs, see it. It's old, but it's fucking great. If everything that he created with Apple, it came from this different point of view, this different perspective, this knowing of what else is possible, this very futuristic, you know, capacity that he had. And if he had judged that, Apple wouldn't exist, you know? And he would have taken all of that brilliance and turned it basically into misery, because that's what occurs when we judge ourselves like that. We turn our brilliance and our capacities into our misery, you know? And so how do you change it? Well, you start to get curious. Okay, what is strong about me that I think is wrong about me? And what would it take to flip it 180 degrees? Just flip it 180 degrees. It's one of my favorite tools, is just go, okay, cool. If this wasn't fucked up, what would be the brilliance here, you know? And all you have to do is ask a question. That's all you have to do, is just go and start to get curious. And then you start to, the more you know, have the awareness of what that is, and it's not about defining it, but just having the awareness of your capacities, the more you sort of start to function from this reality of like, flip it. Like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go into judgment of myself, but instead I'm going to celebrate my brilliance. I wonder what it is, you know? And like really functioning from that. And we can actually train ourselves in a way to function from that. And we can also let go of all of these judgments. And part of it is just the choice and the awareness, and also like, you know, being part of these different conversations. Oh, I'm so glad, Marcy. I'm so happy that you're here. But being part of these conversations and giving ourselves access to these conversations, to different information, because information will create more awareness for you if you allow it to. That's one of the gifts of getting your hands on information. Don't buy it as real and true, but let it create more awareness for you, whatever that looks like. And that will always make a huge, huge difference. And so, yeah, it's such an amazing, I mean, this is one of the most liberating conversations in my life that has been going for a long time. Gary Douglas asked me years ago, have you acknowledged the difference that you be? And I was like, I'm not different. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm totally like everybody else. I'm normal. I'm like not, what are you talking about, you know? And then I started to look at it, and then I started to look at all my judgments of me, and then I started to take all of those judgments and turn them on their head and go, okay, if this wasn't wrong about me, what would be right? If this wasn't wrong about me, what would be right? If this wasn't wrong about me, what would be right? You know, and then started to invite other people to that. And that's been really, really fun. Like right now, I'm so happy. Super fun, you know, because this is how we change the world. This is how we create a greater future. Like this is where it's at, guys, you know, because if we continue to judge ourselves, we continue to like dig these deeper holes into the hell of human reality, which is getting more hellacious every day. It's so boring and, you know, not fun and not productive and not generative. And why, you know, why would we participate in that when we can actually have a completely different reality that is about the ease and the joy and the glory of living? And that's kind of where I started with like working outside and doing this and going here and blah, blah, blah. And like I had 2 meetings in my convertible today, and like on my way home from the ice rink, and, you know, just, it's like, it's all on the table. Like we can choose whatever the fuck we want to choose. Nobody stops you. You are the one who stops you. You are the only person in the world that is powerful enough to stop you from choosing everything. Yeah, so predictable. Exactly. You are the only person in the world that is powerful enough to stop you. Isn't that amazing? And you could look at that and be like, oh, fuck, I stopped myself so much. You could judge yourself, but you could also flip it right here and go, cool. Apparently I'm more brilliant than I thought I was. Apparently I have more capacities than I thought I did, you know, and let me start to look at that. Let me start to get curious about that, because that will bring you the ease, the joy, and the glory that you are looking for. Yes, from ice rink to lakeside. Exactly. You know, and like a cocktail and meetings and calls and creating a million different classes and, you know, like all these different things. Like I'm creating so much right now, like so many different things. Things that I've been wanting to create for a long time. I'm like, it's time to do the cocktail book. It's time to create a new business. It's time to be part of all these classes. Like, and then be here in Seattle and with my man and on the lake and ice skating and, you know, like, and then tomorrow we're going to Boulder. It's just like, yeah. Yes, show me my brilliance. Exactly. Universe, show me my brilliance. And also like, hey, me, show me, like get over yourself, stop judging, and don't judge you for judging, because that's just more judgment. When you find that you're judging you, just stop and ask a question and turn it 180 degrees. And see what you come up with and see what you find. And for me, like one of the things has been to really recognize that what really works for me is having things be very different every day. I don't like to do the same thing every day. I can't stand that, I don't like to do that, I like to be in different places. I have 2 different houses because I like to be in different places. And then even those places get, like I like to move on and be, and just like move. And that's such a wrong, like so many people in this world would be like, well, that's wrong. And you obviously just can't settle down and you're not grounded and you're not stable. You know what? I don't value being grounded. I don't value stability. Stability is boring, when I'm on a paddleboard and a lake, stability is a good thing. When I'm ice skating, it's a good thing. But stability in my life, why the fuck would I want that? That's like getting ready to die kind of thing, So, but these are all the things where we're like, I'm so wrong because I can't do it, Settle down, exactly, And I'm like, well, I'm 50. And it hasn't if anything, it's gotten worse over the years. So I'm probably not going to be doing that anytime soon or like ever, but I've learned that that's one of my favorite things about me, it's just like, yeah, where can I go? Who can I talk to? What can I do? How, what conversations can I have? What can I create? And the less judgment you have of you, the more willing you are to just choose and leap and be like, I have no fucking idea. Like today I was like, okay, I'm going to start writing that book that I've been talking about writing for forever. And we just chose a topic, because part of why I haven't written my book, one of my books, I do have a book that I wrote, but my second of God knows how many books, is because I haven't known what to write. I'm like, I could write on this, I could write on this, I could write on this, and this. They say in your business you should have a niche, and I'm like, well, I have 25 niches, so pick one, Like, you want to do business, we do business. You want to do money, we do money. You want to do bodies, we do bodies. You want to do X-Men, we do X-Men. You want to do sex and relationship, we do that. We do, I don't care. All the tools are great in all areas of life, So anyway, so we chose a topic for the book that was popping, and I was like, I'm just gonna start writing it, and I mean, not finish it, and I won't judge myself if that's the case, or I may finish it, or but I'm just gonna start, and that's what happens when you don't have so much judgment of yourself and you're not trying to get it right, is that you actually just choose and choose and choose some more and choose some more and choose some more and choose some more. And then you get more awareness and you have a greater sense of, what that creates. And then you just go from there, None of it's relevant. None of it's significant. You just get to play. And this is the beauty of X-Men and humanoids and people that are different. Even if you don't think you're different, if this conversation resonates with you, you are what we call double D. Definitely different. So there's a couple X-Men classes that are coming up. This is a very fun X-Men month. I actually am doing a 2-day X-Men class called Disabilities or Abilities. It starts on Friday. It's Friday and Saturday. So short and sweet and boomy, and it's really where we dive into really looking at, it's that flip it conversation. Let's look at all these places where people get diagnosed, specific diagnoses, but also all the things that we, that we don't, all the places where we make ourselves wrong, and it's this 2-day conversation of capacities. What are your capacities? What are your abilities? What if they're not disabilities? What if they're abilities? And it's one of the classes that, probably the class that I've seen the most, that just melts people's judgments of themselves. They literally start to just melt and go, I'm not as fucked up as I thought I was. I am nowhere near as fucked up as I thought I was. How did I get so fucking cool and lucky, So that's happening on Friday and Saturday. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, is also doing an X-Men class. It's not the same class. It's his own X-Men class. First one in many years. June 19th and 20th. That's also 2 days. It's 3 hours a day. And that's going to be online and in Houston. My X-Men class is strictly online. And I am so excited for both. They're very different. The prerequisite for Gary's class is having taken a Choice of Possibilities class. And the prerequisite for the one that I'm doing is a foundation class, Access Foundation class. Just a real, to me, this is a conversation that's very, it's vital to our future. It's vital to the future of the planet. It's vital to having a different future for people that would like to have a different future. It's vital to the earth. Because those of us that are different, that the rest of the world judges, and then we agree, we're like, yes, I'm wrong, you're right, I'm totally wrong, we are the people that have an awareness of a different future, and we are people that have the capacity to create something different and choose something different. But if we judge ourselves, we are fucked, not in a good way. You are, and you also, you withhold you from the world, and that's just mean. Don't be mean. Don't withhold you from the world. Because you are brilliant and wonderful and phenomenal and amazing in your own incredible way. There are things that you know that nobody else knows, literally nobody else. And if you judge the crap out of you and you don't wonder about the brilliance that all of that is, that dies on the vine. It never gets harvested. Like your gifts never get harvested. And please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't choose that. I'm so glad it's a timely topic, Andrea. That's great. Things just pop. It's like, it's time to go outside and do this thing. So I'm glad that you guys were here. And just keep going with it. Keep that curiosity alive in your own world. If this wasn't my wrongness, what would the strongness be? What's right about me I'm not getting? And if I flip this 180 degrees, what amazing capacity and brilliance would I discover that I've never, ever known was there before, And this is where you stop abusing you with invalidation and judgment, and you start creating. You really start creating. And it doesn't matter if things work or not. It's not ever about that. You just start creating and things start showing up, and a whole different universe becomes available with that. Truly one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself and to the world. And I love seeing X-Men step into the brilliance that they be and get out of the judgment of them, because it's like nothing else. It's like rocket fuel for a different future for all of us. You creating even what you might think is so little in your own life, it's like rocket fuel for the planet to have a different future. And that's what it's about right now, peeps. It's time for that more than ever before. So please know that you're brilliant. You're far more brilliant than you realize. If you'd like to come and play in the classes, mine is, you can find it heathernichols.com/xmen online. All one word, no hyphens or anything. It's on my website, heathernichols.com. Friday and Saturday this week, so day after tomorrow we start. There's a manual. It's fucking amazing. It's brilliant. I'm so excited for this class. I love it. And for Gary's class, X-Men, June 19th and 20th. And you can find that at accessconsciousness.com. So thanks, everybody. Happy summer if you live somewhere where it's summer. Love from me and Lake Washington and Mount Rainier. That is, I think you can see it right there. And thank you all. You're wonderful. You're just wonderful. Thank you for being here and for being you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.